is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
8 years ago, when Rod Brindamore was hired to be the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, he said the mission was to be the best team in the NHL. 5 seconds away. Played out, and the Carolina Hurricanes are the best team in the NHL. They won the 2026 Stanley Cup. It's yours, Carolina, and it's coming back to North Carolina. The Stanley Cup. We got a passenger on the plane tomorrow, and the Hurricanes are world champions.
That's how it sounded last night in Las Vegas. Mike Maniscalco on the call for the Canes Radio Network as the drought finally ends for the Carolina Hurricanes. What a weekend in sports. 2 titles and title droughts ending with the New York Knicks obviously getting it done as well. Stormy Buonantony, Dustin Sweetelson here. Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. My goodness, Dustin.
I mean, I'm filling in for JVT, so I'll do the JVT thing. Told you so. Told you so we wouldn't have game 7s. Told you so. You asked me on the way out on Friday, we'll be getting ready for anything. I said, no, I think it's over. I think San Antonio can't bounce back from what they saw. And then more importantly, Carolina proves to be the better team. I know they were on road ice. Home ice has been irrelevant. Showed itself again. Goalie play an issue for the Knights. And congratulations to Carolina. They get it done first time since 06. And the biggest upset of this entire thing, I did not know that Rod Brindamore looked like Vince McMahon under that shirt.
Dude, they call him Rod the Bod for a reason.
Okay. Well, sometimes they call people like me the bod, and it's an ironic thing.
We will show you some video of that in a moment. We'll deep dive into how it all played out. We do have a lot to get to, but I will say, because you mentioned JVT, he'll be back tomorrow. Within moments of that game ending yesterday, he already said, so Stormy, when are we going to Barry's? Because he had the Canes this series. I obviously, as a Vegas Golden Knights fan, had Vegas in the series. So back-to-back years, the Stanley Cup final. I'm the hockey person, and I lose the Cup final show bet to JVT. Very frustrating.
Hey, look, it's tough for you there. I get it. Your Knights made a valiant effort, a really nice run. But I think this is right for hockey. I hate to say this. I hate to go against your team here, but I think this is what we needed, right? The President's Trophy, they got eliminated by the Golden Knights. We needed another dominant team to actually win this thing. We couldn't have the Golden Knights, who disappointed for, 70%, 60% of this season, figured it out down the stretch, got hot when it mattered. I think when you look at this thing, you want the totality to matter of the regular season, because we'll get to the NBA where the regular season's completely irrelevant. You want it to mean something. I think Carolina gives a little credence that it means something to be one of the best teams coming into the playoffs.
All right, let's set the table, though, with everything we have to come today on the program. Time, as always, to run it down.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is The Rundown.
All right, we're going to talk plenty of College World Series today with our own Jensen Lewis. Alabama, Texas, starting in just a matter of moments. We've got an early afternoon elimination game, winner go home. Texas, big favorites to put it away. Run total 10.5. Both teams had ugly losses in their respective Omaha openers, so we'll see how things play out here.
Yeah, it's getting interesting in Omaha. It's getting very interesting for my West Virginia ticket. They lost to North Carolina. Now I've got them facing Troy again. I don't love the double top secret revenge angle where Troy, gave them a little bit of fight in the first game. We'll see what happens with that. But everything's getting real in Omaha right now.
Yeah, it'll be awesome to break that game coming up tomorrow, that rematch of West Virginia and Troy coming up, because Jensen Lewis specifically, he was in Morgantown for both the regional and super regionals. He's very dialed into that team, so we'll get his perspective on that and everything to come with the greatest show on dirt. Only team eliminated to this point, Ole Miss, compliments of those aforementioned Trojans. And obviously plenty of World Cup where we just had chaos on the television screen as well. Some golden betting opportunities we'll get into with Alex Crook. But as the group stage of the World Cup continues, 4 games today, the first of which is in the books, that Spain, who is been co-favorites all along with France to win this entire thing, was a minus 1,600 favorite against Cape Verde this morning. We end up in extra time with a 0-0 draw. The draw was 13-1. Spain was a 2.5 goal favorite if you were playing the spread in this game, Dustin. A 0-0 draw. Chaos early in the World Cup.
Cape Verde wins earns their first ever FIFA World Cup point. 0-0 draw. Soccer's the only sport where a draw can be a major upset. That is so wild. Where's Cape Verde on a map? Can you find it for me? Because I told you in the break, the only thing I know about it, it means green Cape. That's it. I only know it means Verde means green because of salsa verde.
That's unbelievable. I just truly unbelievable for all of the hype around this Spain team. For that to be how they start off the World Cup is unbelievable.
Them or France, that was the thought. Yep. Minus 1,200 to win this thing. It winds up in a draw 13-1, as you mentioned, for this thing to finish 0-0. Absolute chaos. I hope we get a little chaos today. I was looking at the board. I think there might be a live dog or two that could surprise us.
We shall see. We'll discuss those games again. Like we mentioned, Alex Crook going to join the program. We're also going to break down the entire MLB slate. So much more to get to, but we got to start things off. How we opened the show, the tale of two titles. Coming up in the next segment, we'll further break down what happened in the NBA. But because I'm me, of course, we're starting with the hockey. 3-0 shutout win in Game 6 yesterday for Carolina. They complete their playoff run, Dustin. 16-3, just complete and utter dominance for this team, a team that has been knocking at the door for years and years and years. And Rod Brind'Amour as their head coach to have been able to lead them to the mountaintop after the last time knowing this organization was able to have that opportunity to lift a cup over their head. He was the captain of that team, and he spoke about it with Emily Kaplan after the game. Maybe. We'll try to play that sound in a moment. Go ahead.
Okay, but Rod Brind'Amour, there's a lot that we have to digest with him winning this cup. It's not just the story of the former player and the head coach. It's that sometimes staying the course works out. Now, we were getting to a point with this situation where if they didn't get over that mountaintop, or they didn't wind up winning the cup in this instance, his job's on the line. You love to see someone, when their back's against the wall, when there's pressure to step up and finish the job, they do it. And that's why you see the videos of him chucking the cup up in the air and holding it over his head, because it is pure joy, not just to achieve that, but the pressure was mounting year after year. They ran it back with this core the last couple of years. They couldn't get there. You got to tip your hat, because I think so many times we as fans, we as people who are on the outside looking in, we go, hold on, the plan's not working. The plan's not working. Well, the plan finally worked. They got what they wanted. Congratulations to them. This core achieves what they meant to achieve when they first got together a few years ago.
And quite frankly, this is the deepest group that they've had over the course of these last handful of years where they've been knocking at the door, right? Like, you have the center depth, Aho, Stankov, Stahl down the middle. You bring in a guy like Nikolai Ehlers. You see Taylor Hall be able to elevate his game when you need it most. Jackson Blake, that whole second line really could have been the Conn Smythe winner if that was an option. You take a chance on Keandre Miller, who ends up being the most important guy that you could have on the back end throughout the entirety of this run. And then in net, for Frederik Andersen to play as well as he did for 3 rounds. And then how many times do we say it throughout the course of the postseason? At some point, Freddie's going Freddie, and he ultimately does. He becomes unavailable for these final games, and Brandon Bussi stands in, who has been such a remarkable story for one, right? He's this undrafted guy who's an AHL journeyman. He's a rookie, yet he's 28 years old, thrust into this situation in the Stanley Cup final and delivers for you. Just everything worked for them.
It's crazy, all the variables in place, yet it was one of the more dominant runs you're ever going to see, right? The last time they lost back-to-back games was January 13th. Yeah. Think about the world we were living in January 13th. Yeah. We're talking over 6 months ago at this point. It's June 15th here. But you look at the run, the sheer dominance of how they were able to do this. Fewest losses by a cup champion since 1980. The Oilers had 2 in 1988. And then you have the Hurricanes tied with the Oilers in 85, the Islanders in 81 with 3. So the second fewest losses. Absolute pure dominance from Carolina. Now, Conn Smythe was an interesting topic, because I'm looking here, Jordan Stahl. You could have had 500-1 on him in Game 3. You could have had 101 in Game 4. Game 5, he was 5-1. I actually kind of liked him at 9-1 last week when I was doing a show with Femi, but I didn't like it enough to bet it. How do you feel about this award and Jordan Stahl winding up winning it?
So I'll do a deeper reaction to this and call me crazy butt, which we will have coming up in about a half an hour here on the program. I don't love it, because I feel like it's supposed to be a postseason award. He had a masterful Stanley Cup final.
You feel like they're lying to you with the verbiage that they intentionally chose with the name of the award? I would tell you, the phrase most valuable player is the biggest lie in all of awards.
Sure.
It's not, because it goes to the best player over and over again. If they wanted to be best player, we should call it best player. Stop calling it most value, because value, you have to interpret that a certain way. It can mean the most important to a team that doesn't have the most help. It could be situationally. There's so many ways to portray that. I think, to go with what you're saying with this Conn Smythe that we'll get into later, I think we need to be very aware of how they have tried to frame these awards with the words they have chosen here, because I don't like it either.
Yeah. For Stahl, it's his second cup in 17 years after winning it early on in his career with Pittsburgh. And from a narrative standpoint, 37 years old, oldest player to win a Conn Smythe in ever.
Lowest point total since Scott Niedermayer in 07. Scott Niedermayer was a defenseman.
Series high 6 goals, at least one in each of the first 5 goals, which was an NHL Stanley Cup final record. And there were a lot of things he did right. He's taken the toughest matchup defensively each game. He plays in all 3 phases. He stood up when it mattered most in the Stanley Cup final. But for what the award is supposed to be, and again, I'll get on my pedestal about that a little bit later on and how I feel about it. But
I'd argue Brandon Busty has a better case.
So no, what? No. What is wrong with you?
Stepped up. They had issues in goal.
You're dead to me. That's part of the argument. See, this is what happens when you don't look ahead.
No, but I'm saying if you were going to do it this way with Stahl, I think you could have made the case for Busty.
All right. Rod Brind'Amour, again, just to go back to him, 4th man to claim the cup as both a captain and a coach of the same franchise, which is pretty unbelievable. Can we throw up, I don't want the sound here because we have to go to break, but can you throw up that video of Rod the Bod that we were talking about? Because I think our audience at home that maybe might have missed this on social media, you need to see what we've got going on here, because this dude is a monster.
What is the body fat? What's the protein goals every day?
Honestly, this is a team that's known for their strength and conditioning program, and I think their head coach leads the way in that.
Stormy, he has abs next to his abs.
Unreal. We got to step aside from one title to another, though. When we come back, the Knicks on Saturday night snapped a 53-year championship drought. We'll get into the historic fashion with which they handled business next.
Hey, let me get your attention real quick, podcast listeners. I've got something for you that feels too good to be true. First, credit where credit is due. If you're listening to this podcast, you're already leveling up your betting game. You're riding along with our best bets and top angles. And when there's a good game on, you're probably getting involved with a few props and alt markets as well. But there's one more layer if you really want to step things up, and that's VSiN Pro. Yeah, I've mentioned it before, but things are only getting better for our pro subscribers. We just rolled out our MLB prop projections, breaking down some of the best edges across strikeouts, hits, home runs, and more. And that's on top of everything else pro subscribers already get, including public betting splits, expert picks, and betting guides across the sports calendar. If you haven't tried it yet, stop sleeping on it. You can get your first month for just $9.99 or save big with promo code POD26 on an annual subscription. Hit the link in the description and start cashing in with VSiN Pro. All right, now back to the show.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The streets of New York were literally on fire over the weekend as we welcome you back here to Money Moves. The Knicks reclaim an NBA title, first time since 1973. We talked last segment about the drought for the Carolina Hurricanes. That was just 20 years. How about what the Knicks and Knicks fans have gone through to finally be able to claim the title again?
I'm a Knicks fan, and I'll put my hand up because people don't really do this generally. I didn't believe it was going to happen.
Really?
There's a clip on the VSiN TikTok page where I said they're not title contenders back in like February. I mean, I was off the bandwagon. I had 16-1 on them to win the title. That wasn't because I believed. That's because I didn't believe. It's because I thought they were trading for Giannis at some point during the season. I really didn't think this was going to happen. When you factor in how you look at this team, you've got a 6'2" best player in Jalen Brunson, who's very ball dominant at times. You have a bunch of moves that were made that there's certainly been flaws along the way. They a year ago at this time, we were all talking about them firing Tom Thibodeau and how it was a huge mistake. Mike Brown comes in and all of a sudden he's this great adjuster that we've never seen before. I truly did not believe this team was this good, but to kind of go with the trend of the NBA these days, regular season doesn't matter. Yeah. They were very clearly built for postseason series because they thrived once they got there.
I mean, the run was special. You look at the point differential, outscored their opposition by 283 total points this postseason, which is by far the largest that we have ever seen in NBA postseason history. For perspective, the next closest team was the 2017 Warriors, and it was a 53-point difference between what the Knicks and what Golden State did. They go 16-3, Dustin. Your losses by 1 and 4 points. And it was awesome. But I do want to go back to your fandom here for a second. What was it like for you having to watch Game 5 while at a wedding this weekend.
So I'm at a wedding, and I know no one there other than my fiance's family. It is her extended family. And I'm caught up in the middle of this as the fourth quarter is playing out. There's about 7-8 minutes to go. The Knicks are chipping away. It's the same song and dance you see every single night with this team, where they're down, they're coming back. Do they have the lead yet? It feels inevitable. And people start the wedding procession down the aisle. Somehow, I am sitting right on the edge of that aisle, and I have my phone out, watching the game, looking up at the bride and groom, clapping, blah, 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 blah. We actually have video of the actual situation. Let's toss this up here, because this is the predicament I'm in. Pacific Ocean's in the background. I'm in San Diego. I'm on the beach. The sun is just set, and I'm at this wedding, sweating out my team trying to capitalize and win their first championship in over 50 years. So this is how that video looked in San Diego for your boy. Do we have that, guys? Yep, here it is. Beautiful backdrop. And there's my phone with it being on the chair, looking at the game, looking up, looking at literally people are about to walk down the aisle. Like this thing is coming in hot and heavy. The background of so many people on the other side of the aisle is me doing this.
What I love, though, when we were talking about this earlier, was that, like, you're clearly not alone in this. People were coming up to you saying, okay, what's happening?
The whole area is like, what's the score now? And I'm like, guys, I'm a Knicks fan. You're making me crazy to have to keep updating you. And then they start doing the thing that I hate. Oh, they got this. It's in the bag. What do you mean it's in the bag?
That's
They're on the road.
Worst thing you can ever say to anyone in your position.
I'll go conspiracy on everyone as well. There was a moment in this game where Victor Wembanyama should have been called for his next flagrant foul, which would have led to a suspension. I believe the refs started calling the game a little bit differently after that. Not in the Knicks' favor, but not as sided in a way to extend the series. It feels like the NBA did not want to deal with the drama off the court of everyone saying, that's supposed to be a flagrant when they did the report. Mm-hmm. Instead, they went, call it straight up. Whoever wins, wins. And the New York Knicks, the don't blink Knicks, fourth quarter, they saved the best for last. They were always at their best. They stepped up in these critical situations. And I got to tell you, it's very weird to be rooting for a team that not just wins the championship, but is so likable in every way.
Yeah. And they are, like, I feel like people have wanted these guys to have success for a long time. And honestly, you brought it up briefly a little bit earlier, but I think that it's worth going back to the decision last year for New York to move off of Tom Thibodeau, right? And you say, despite having what has been in recent history, unprecedented success for the franchise, to say, we're going to move off of you and bring in Mike Brown and do what you're going to do here. And he has the expectation not only of, no, we don't just need a deep playoff run, we need to win. And for him to actually do that, I think is pretty remarkable and special.
100%. We'll start talking about NFL Coach of the Year as we get closer to that season. There's a reason why the Coach of the Year award goes to a team with low expectations versus a team with a lot of expectations. This is unique because Mike Brown steps in as a new head coach, and there's immediate expectations. Normally, new head coaches win Coach of the Year because that team has low expectations in the NFL. I think there was a lot of bold moves made when it comes to the Knicks. I know everyone wants to start with Jalen Brunson, and I agree, 100%. That was a bold move. He was a number 2. He was a second-round pick. He wasn't a guy expected to do anything. Actually, he wasn't even number 2. He was like a number 3, 4 on the Dallas Mavericks at that point. But there was a lot of tough decisions they made, aside from Thibodeau, and I want to give Thibodeau his flowers. I believe an element of why the Knicks were so good in the fourth quarter is they were built for that under Tom Thibodeau. They were used to having to play as much as they did while the Spurs shots were coming up short in the fourth quarter. That's why they kept blowing leads. The Knicks were conditioned for that opportunity. Yeah. But in terms of these tough decisions, moving on from Randall and DiVincenzo for Karl Anthony Towns, people didn't believe Towns would reach his potential. They thought the Knicks gave up too much depth. That was wrong because they're not here without Karl Anthony Towns. Trading R.J. Barrett, a former top pick, another first-rounder in Emmanuel Quickley, who looked awesome for them, for OG Anunoby. Hold on, OG Anunoby couldn't stay healthy. He wasn't the offensive player people didn't realize that he was. Those were tough decisions that they had to make here. You add in Alvarado, you add Shamet. How are you able to fit some of these guys in? Because your superstar Jalen Brunson took a pay cut as well. There's a lot of elements here, and we talk about analytics, we talk about moments, we talk about all these things in sports, but when you have a leader in Jalen Brunson willing to take a pay cut so they can afford some of these extra pieces to get you over the hump, it pays dividends in the end. And
just to go back to OG Anunoby, like everybody talked coming into this series about what a critical piece Karl Anthony Towns would be for the Knicks, but look at what OG ended up having to be and was.
He's their best overall player. I mean, you cannot underemphasize it. When you have a player who can guard 1 to 5, meaning point guard up to center, and then can make the impact on the offensive end if he gets his looks. And I think a lot of the early start of him joining this team was they didn't know how to utilize him. They didn't know how to utilize Bridges a year ago. And this is just, when you run it back with these teams, you let them build on momentum. And the build matters in the NBA. And I think that's also a disparity between the two teams in the finals. The Knicks build, knock down, build, knock down, build, knock down. You can't put a number on it. You can't really quantify what it does to your locker room. But these guys in critical moments knew how to play with each other when it mattered. While San Antonio, they will get there. They're young. They haven't been here before. There's inexperience. You're not totally sure of where your teammate is going to be, what they're going to do in these pressure-packed situations. To me, that was a big difference in this series, was clutch moments. The Knicks knew what to do. And on the other side, San Antonio, they were just really, really green.
The Knicks, first team in the last 50 years to overcome double-digit deficits in at least 4 games in a single finals. Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs, you have to imagine, have a lot of woulda, shoulda, coulda going on in their minds right now. And here is the big 7-foot-plus Victor Wembanyama after the game.
Well, you know, it's painful. But I'm not running away from that. But I'm using that to fuel me. I'm sure all these guys you named, they're not satisfied with being eliminated in earlier rounds or not making the playoffs. And I'm not satisfied with not winning. But as I said, this is the biggest lesson of my life. And as a team, there's no better experience than what we just lived.
And obviously, he's caught a lot of flack for the comment he made about, like, we dominated this series. Sure. And I understand where he was coming from at the heart of that comment. But at the end of the day, you lose in 5. And I think that the future obviously looks exceptionally bright for San Antonio. But when the lights were brightest this time around, this was the Knicks series.
It's a myth that they dominated the series, by the way. I just want to dispel that. They were awesome in the first quarter. Congratulations. You jump out to a lead. You front run.
Which we talked about that, by the way, first quarters.
Yeah.
That was something that we brought up.
You're great in the first quarter. The point differential by quarter in the NBA Finals, Spurs in the first plus 57. The Knicks won the second, the third, and the fourth. The second plus 29, the third plus 14, the fourth plus 26. You didn't dominate. You built a giant lead. You blew your wad. Everyone else came back and won against you. Like, you have to pace yourself. And that's something we saw. The Knicks sat there and they took body blow after body blow and they went, okay, we're going to take your best shots. And then when your guard's down, we're coming with the uppercut. We're going to hit you with the hook here. And then for Wembanyama, in the final 2 games of the fourth quarter, the last 2 games, 8 points, 3 of 14 from the field, 2 of 6 from the free throw line, minus 25. That was the worst among all players. He came across as very unlikable in this series. Yeah. I thought, he's not tough. You're 7'5". Just play like you're 7'5". I thought he was dirty. I thought it was gross. I know he's a kid. I know he's going to grow. I'll give him all the respect in the world that he'll get there. But he came across as a very soft and petulant kid out there playing with emotion instead of staying within himself. And he'll get there. The experience builds that, but he came across as a dirty player to me in this series.
Well, that kid is the reason why San Antonio's favored to win it all next year. Plus 250 favorites already to take home the Larry O'Brien in 2026-27. We got to step aside, but we love a good overreaction Monday here on Money Moves. When we come back, why I'm actually upset about Conn Smythe and other things we got to get into, and call me crazy butt after this.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on Money Moves, it's U.S. Open week, and that means the Splash Sports High Stakes U.S. Open Challenge is live. $500 to enter for a shot at $100,000 guaranteed. Here's how it works. Pick 6 golfers, 1 from each of 6 tiers. Your top 5 scores count. Your worst golfer gets dropped. Lowest score wins, so it's all about finding value across the board, not just stacking favorites. Multiple entries are allowed, so build a few different lineups up. Increase your shot at that $100,000 grand prize. Right now, new players using the promo code VSiN will get a 50% deposit match up to $100, a free Quick Picks entry up to $20, and a 100% Quick Picks payout boost on an entry up to $20. You got to sign up, though, at splashsports.com. Again, use that code VSIN. 21 and older, must be present in select states. See site for full rules and details.
Put on your tinfoil hats.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. The whole world gone crazy.
For Call Me Crazy, but...
All right, let's get into it. Stormy Buonantony, Dustin Sweetelson back here with you. Time for Call Me Crazy But, which last week, I remember you were sad that you weren't with us on a Monday because you wanted to do this so bad.
Yeah, I was bitter. I mean, I watched the show every day. I don't know why I thought you guys did this segment every day. I don't know why it sticks with me. I feel like every day you guys are doing this, but I love the bit. It's a good one, and I've got a few for you up my sleeve today.
Okay, let's get into it because I'm going to start with a topic that we brought up already earlier on the show, but it bears repeating. Call me crazy, but don't call it a postseason award. If it's not a postseason award, and I know I'm a little bit salty about being a Mitch Marner backer and how all of this played out, but for Jordan Staal to win Conn Smythe by the kind of margin that he did, despite only showing up in the final, is a little bit crazy. You gave the stat earlier, 12 points in all this postseason, the lowest since Scott Niedermayer did it in 2007. He only had 5 points in all entering the final. Happy for the guy, but just call it finals MVP if that's what this is going to be, if we're going to have that much recency bias into it. But here's the thing. I feel like I'm less mad about Staal winning it than I am the voting when we saw how this all shook out when all was said and done. The fact that he's a clear-cut winner, right? He has a 38-point edge before Taylor Hall or anybody else on this list. And listen to some of these. Brandon Bussey had a point. Brandon Bussey played less than 3 games. Frederick Anderson played 3 rounds and got none.
He was critical in them winning, though, which goes to your point. It goes to your point. It is not being viewed through the lens, which is intended to be, which is the totality of a postseason.
Mitch Marner had 6 points after leading all players in points in the postseason and being second in points, by the way, in the final. I know he came from the losing team, but he had 10 points, like actual physical game points, more than Taylor Hall, who finished second in the voting. I know Vegas played 3 more games, but to have 10 more points and 3 more goals in only playing 3 games more and to get 6 points in the voting is insane.
What if Mitch Marner won this award? What if Mitch Marner won this award? Wouldn't your outrage also then be, though, the player on the team that didn't win the cup winds up winning this thing?
Well, so I understand, like, it's very historically improbable and difficult for a player from the non-winning team to win the Conn Smythe. It happened a couple years ago with Connor McDavid because he was setting Gretzky-like postseason records, right? And obviously, Marner didn't do that. I thought that if they had pushed this to 7 and Marner was a contributor, then that still could have been in play. But obviously, that's not the case here. But I know a lot of voters ended up going with Taylor Hall for the reason of what the true spirit of the award is supposed to be, and that it's a postseason award in its totality.
At least it's on the winning team. It's about what he's accomplished along the way.
The second line kind of hosed themselves because they were so good as a trio, but they cancel each other out points-wise. And then Staal, you get the recency bias where he's masterful and he's scoring all of these goals in the Cup final.
Staal is the rightful MVP if you call it that award.
Yes.
If you call it most valuable player of the Stanley Cup final, it's 100% Staal, which leads me to my next one here for Call Me Crazy. But the NHL does way too much with the names of their awards. Just call them what they are. I shouldn't have to Google the Vezina, the Hart, who it is, who it's named after, what it means, and then Conn Smythe on top of it. Just make it Finals MVP to avoid the conjecture we're going through right now.
They're a sport about history. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Honestly, it is. That's what it is, right? They're a sport that really, really embraces its history. I kind of wish other sports would do that more.
It's too but you want to appeal to the masses. You want people to know what these awards are. No one calls I think the MVPs or the Hank Aaron Award in baseball. I don't even know. See, that just goes to show you. Baseball's all about history too. I don't know who they're named after. All I know is someone wins MVP in both of the leagues.
Well, I don't think anybody gets mad about Lord Stanley's Cup, by the way.
No, that's cool. Larry O'Brien Trophy, the hunk of metal Rob Manfred gives out. That's what we name these things. But calling the award after a person without, like, Conn Smythe for playoff MVP, there should always be the delineator, and then it becomes too many words. I just think you're doing too much when you're trying to hook everyone into the conversation.
All right, fair. Well, one last positive thing here, because you knew everyone knew I was going to go down this road. Call me crazy, but the Stanley Cup and its trophy presentation is unrivaled in sports. And yes, we know the lore of the trophy, and everybody's like, oh, greatest trophy in sports. It is awesome. The individual names that are graved for the history going back years and years and years, when a ring is filled with names and they need to add more, they remove it, flatten it, put it in a vault in the Hall of Fame, and that's where it lives for eternity. That in itself would be enough. But it's the whole experience for me. It's the handshake line and the mutual respect that you have. It's the captain getting the cup first and doing his lap and wondering who he's going to give it to next. It's when you see the assistant coaches and the medical personnel and the equipment staff, like they get their moment with it. And then what you get to fill in the cup and your day with the cup later on. It's an experience that goes so much far beyond just being a trophy. I think it's really, really cool, and there's nothing else that is like it in sports in my eyes.
Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed Victor Wembanyama just walking off the floor and not shaking the hands of the opponent. I thought that was a really fun thing to see at the end of the season.
Everybody quote tweeting the end of the cup final and be like, somebody show this to Victor Wembanyama. No,
it's a level of pomp and circumstance that we don't have in America usually. It feels very royal, regal. It feels like something from Britain, where like it goes back centuries of it. This is how we celebrate. This is how it's passed down. This is the respect I show for my teammate by making sure they're the person I hand it to. Also, they sit there and they wait. They wait for their opportunity. People aren't diving over each other like animals at a concert, just trying to like get their hands on the performer to slap five. They sit there and they go, I will have my opportunity. I will relish my chance to hold this thing. I know the history, and I think the history matters too, because every single team, their name is on that cup, and that only adds to it. It is by far, it's the best trophy. It is the best ceremony. It is everything that is right about sports.
What's next for you?
The parity era of the NBA is we've had now 8 consecutive new champions. We have not had back-to-back. It's been 8 different teams in a row. It's been fun, but we need the next great NBA rivalry.
You ready for, rivalry? I thought you were going to say dynasty.
No, we just need a rivalry. We need Cavs, Warriors. We need 2 teams, the Jazz, Bulls. I don't care what it is. We need some enemies. We need some bad blood, and we need it across the 2 conferences. It's one thing for San Antonio and Oklahoma City to hate each other. I understand why that's going to happen, but we need it to be on a bigger stage. We need to know one team's going to be there, the other team's going to be waiting, and let them duke it out a few times, because I think when you look at the NBA, when you tell the story of the league, rivalries are good. That familiarity of knowing they're going head-to-head, need to get over the hump, whoever it may be. And it looks like Victor Wembanyama's not going anywhere, so I imagine it's the Spurs. Who's it going to be on the other side?
So I think automatically you go to, if the Knicks can keep doing what they're doing and the Boston Celtics when healthy. Like, those are the 2 that you imagine it being. But how do you then create that rivalry? How do you create that hatred?
I need them to be there. I need them to win. I need them to not like each other and to know each other really well. I need to know that we're going to get these stories and these legacies on the line, because while it's awesome, I love all these fan bases getting to experience championships. I'm the most recent one. Funny how my team finally wins when I go, you know what, it's bad for basketball. Let's move on. But I do think that the sport as a whole, Magic Bird, there's always good guy, bad guy situation. The league is in desperation just for a little bit of that to build over the years.
My last one here, call me crazy, but that was the best UFC event ever. What we saw this week. Like, I don't care what your politics are, what you think about the Medal of Honor recipients walking out each fighter, the flyover, the pageantry, the fights. First fight card in UFC history to feature knockouts in every fight. And then the way that it ended, too, for us to get Topuria and Gaethje just duking it out. And it looks like how was Topuria standing for half of that fight, and that he kept on, like, the body blows, that liver hit that he gave to Gaethje? My God, I do not like fighting. I have been on the record on this show numerous times saying, like, I love hockey fights. I do not do well with MMA, UFC, boxing. I never have. I was in last night, my man. I was in.
I was locked in. I bet Gaethje, not because I knew anything.
For you.
My fiance knows UFC. She goes, I think Gaethje's going to win. I know he's old, but I think he has a chance. And he won.
It was such an American play. I was seeing all of this stuff from, like, the BetMGM people that pump out. They're like 90% of the bets on the dog, but that good for you for being able to cash that ticket, because that was a huge dog price to be able to get in.
Teddy Roosevelt used to parade zoo animals on the front lawn. That was better than anything that he ever had. Last one here for me, call me crazy. You should have to acquire a license in America before being allowed to use self-checkout. I don't mean a driver's license. I mean a license to utilize the self-checkout machines at a grocery store. Call me crazy.
Why?
because people are unfit to do so. You should really there should be a course online. You should show certification that I have passed my self-checkout test because people are a mess and they're holding everyone else up.
The only thing that really bothers me about self-checkout is the people that bring too much stuff. Like, you know that's supposed to be for like 12 items or fewer. Why are you bringing a full shopping cart over?
That's why we need a test.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
And then there were 7. Ole Miss, the first to be eliminated out there in Omaha at the College World Series over the weekend. Troy lives another day out there in Omaha, set to take on West Virginia coming up tomorrow. Speaking of those country roads, nobody knows them better than our own Jensen Lewis right now. Of course, host of VSiN by the Books, here with our own Dave Ross, but also former MLB pitcher, proud Vandy baseball alum, and was on the call for both the Morgantown Regional and Super Regional, and decked out in the WVU gear as we see you here, Jensen. What's up, buddy?
Great to be with you guys. Yeah, I found out this hat behind me, which West Virginia wore in the opener there at Omaha, is a team issue only. And so when I put out, by the way, shout out Ren Baker, the athletics director there at West Virginia. Before I left, he's like, you're basically an honorary Mountaineer now. You've been here the last couple of weeks. You're part of the story. And I said, well, dude, would love to rock some swag if you had it. He goes, give me your address. I kid you not, guys, 3-4 days later, it is a UPS box full of 2 duffel bags of gear for me and my better half, Michelle. I'll send you guys the picture of the full entourage of it. But I've had more people from West Virginia tweeting me about this hat because you can't buy it. It's only team issue. And they're like, if we started selling this, we could pay for another defensive lineman for Rich Rod for NIL there for the football team. So it was hysterical, but a surreal run. I know they dropped it to North Carolina yesterday. The Tar Heels look really good, but a hell of a story there with Steve Sabins and crew, no doubt about it.
All right, I'm going to be a big boomer here and reference it. That hat reminds me of the New York Mammoth hat, which is from the movie Bang the Drum Slowly, where a young Robert De Niro plays a catcher in like a fictitious New York Yankees type team. But it looks almost identical to that, the logo and everything. Talk to me about our Mountaineers, because I bet them 55-1 to win this thing. I knew nothing about them. I'll just be honest. I just did a bunch of research. Came down to 3 futures. Tennessee died a very quick death. Oregon State died a bit of a slower, but still pretty quick death. And then I have West Virginia 55-1. They already beat Troy once here. Now they're seeing them again. They're a minus 230 favorite. This game isn't until tomorrow. Plus $1.75 with the Troy Trojans. 12.5 is the total. How do we feel about seeing the same team twice here in Omaha?
Yeah, honestly, Dustin, first and foremost, as a Vandy boy, I would never be caught dead in anything burnt orange there from Tennessee. So I'm kind of glad it died a quick death for you there. But no, as far as where 55-1 is for you, tomorrow I would fully anticipate that it would be Dawson Montesa, who was absolutely miraculous in the Morgantown Regional through 123 pitches against Wake Forest, came back the next day, Yoshi Yamamoto-esque, and came out of the bullpen in that Monday affair at night to be able to end up earning the win. If it's not him, I would be shocked, because I think Steve Sabins understands, where he's kind of at. Max Sheo was fine yesterday. Outside of a shaky inning, this is kind of what we've seen from North Carolina. They just grind you down, and they've got a wealth of arms in the pen. As it is for Troy, this team feels like they can put up the crooked number quickly, but what I would anticipate is you get a little bit more swing and miss from not only if it is Montesa, but they're still pretty loaded in the bullpen there for West Virginia. If I'm looking at it right now, Dustin, and kind of taking my heart out of it here, this feels like a higher scoring game where you could kind of take advantage. And I haven't seen the forecast yet for tomorrow, but if it is blowing out, I'd say the over is a great play there. I could see West Virginia 8-6 being able to eliminate Troy, and the familiarity factor there. They just do things differently on the base paths, and I think their speed and their chaos would probably affect Troy a little bit more. I think they're a little bit deeper on the mound, so that's where I would go.
Well, with that final, good to note, total sitting at 12.5 there. So that is an elimination game. We are in the midst of one right now, by the way. Texas up 3-1 as a big favorite against Alabama. Both of those two teams got blown out over the weekend by Oklahoma and Georgia, who are going to play later on tonight here. And I mean, both teams scorching hot entering this thing. The Bulldogs have won 9 straight games. The Sooners riding a 6-game win streak. These SEC teams did not play in the regular season. So what do you think that we get later on tonight?
Yeah, I think Caden Ioki is going to be great for Georgia. And that was part of the handicap before the series started, Stormy, is that if Georgia stays in the winner's bracket, they're going to be fine. They don't go as deep on the mound and in the bullpen as maybe some of the other teams on that side of the bracket. Oklahoma going to start Xander Mercurius tonight. LJ Mercurius, the brothers there and kind of how they've been. I'm interested to see what the youngster does here. It is an elevated ERA, and Georgia does really, really well in the middle of their order of being able to make you pay for mistakes. This one also feels high scoring to me, Stormy, and that kind of is exactly where Georgia would be very, very happy to have this game. I say that in jest because 11 runs doesn't feel that ridiculous for Omaha, but I think Georgia kind of a multi-run victory makes sense here. I just think they're running too hot from an offensive standpoint. Daniel Jackson, middle of that lineup has been really solid. So I would anticipate if Trey Phelps kind of has his way early on and they get an early lead, I could fully expect Caden Ioki to settle in and really dominate tonight.
Jensen, I want to get your thoughts on some baseball right now, just as all of our attention shifts for Major League Baseball during the summer months. We've got the NBA done with, the NHL done with, and this is a good time to still get some value on some numbers where teams maybe have underachieved or maybe aren't priced properly in the market. Like a year ago, I had 30 or 40 to 1 of the Brewers to win the National League. I bet it around this time a year ago. We just did a segment called Call Me Crazy. But Call Me Crazy, my two teams I'm buying in on, the Baltimore Orioles to win the American League at 25 to 1, the New York Mets to win the National League at 40 to 1. Do you think either of those teams can be wildcard teams here?
Yeah, the American League stinks this year, Dustin. So you're in great hands as far as trying to find, and traditionally a team from the East would be a great way to start there. Baltimore, 5 games under 500. I know that they have had a lot of issues away from Camden Yards, which is kind of crazy that the offense doesn't really travel at that point. Minus 33 in the run differential does spook me a little bit. However, I would think that Mike Elias is going to get a lot of pressure to have to make some moves at the deadline, especially on the pitching front. Now, does that mean a Tarek Skubal if Detroit, continues to slide? Baltimore has the resources from a stockpile in the upper levels of the minor leagues to do that. It would be a blockbuster, and that would necessitate Detroit, who's 6 games out starting play today, kind of being out of it, if you will, maybe a week before the trade deadline. The only other team I would look at, and I have a love-hate relationship with Texas. They are plus 6 in the run diff. They're 1 game under 500. For whatever reason, you get the Lamborghini and DeGrom out there when he is healthy and rocking. That thing is so fun to watch. It's amazing. He and Evaldi, as good a 1-2 punch if you get him in. That's the hard part. Can they be healthy enough to get there towards the end? I do have questions about their offense. They're under 500 on the road. I would think if you want to take a shot on a team that could rebound, go right back to Toronto. I know they've had their fair share of injuries, but they're so deep in the rotation. If they get any reinforcements there, just like they did. Guys, last year, their first half, The second half, like right out of the chute, they caught fire, and the rest was history. And I'll even throw the Athletics in there. I really liked them at the beginning. That offense as a pitcher, holy hell, I don't know how you want to go into Vegas in 2 years and pitch there as an opposing guy. What we just saw, over the Vegas week here with all the balls flying out of town, I think the Athletics have some staying power. And guys, I'll use your phrase, call me crazy. I think they try and make a splash. I think they try and go get someone at the deadline. If you're in and around it, and right now they're tied for the final wild card spot, they're only a game out of the division lead. That's a team, if you want to get a little rambunctious, now they're way under in the run diff, but I think if they go make a couple of moves for some arms, that's an offense you'd love to back down the stretch.
I did just want to, before you go, ask, I saw on the VSiN.com picks page today that you did like the Dodgers. With that money line getting bet up as much as it is, it's out to minus 186 I'm looking at on DraftKings right now. Would a run line intrigue you at all that you're getting plus 112 laying the run and a half, or do you just stay off of it with the way it's been priced?
Great question. And Stormy, traditionally with home teams in that regard, I would always go the alternate run line -1. It just allows you, in case that bullpen's a little leaky there and that opposing team kind of slides in the 9th inning and gets it to a 1-run deficit. That's where I would go. I did find them on Novig, guys, at -$1.65. I don't think you guys have it out there in Vegas, or you can't use it. But it is a spot there. Not only I like LA, but I think the total over is a great place to attack tonight as well.
I'm on the over.
Beautiful. You're awesome, my friend. Thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate it.
Anytime. Talk, guys.
Jensen Lewis, everybody, make sure you check him out every weekday with Dave Ross, VSiN by the books. And we will break down the MLB card in full a little bit later on. We'll find out more on why you like the over. Reminder as well, if you go to VSiN.com right now, you get unlimited access to all of the articles and everything we do, which includes the MLB previews every day, Adam Burke, Greg Peterson, the whole group. And right now, because we have our early bird football special going on, $175 will get you full VSiN Pro access from now through the Super Bowl. Everything we have, Dustin.
You love it. And a lot of World Cup stuff up.
Oh my gosh,
lot of different writers, great information, and we have a match about to get going that we have to touch on because I'm on the under 2.5 Belgium, Egypt. By the way, Cape Verde, it's near Senegal. Just looked it up.
Oh, look at you. Speaking of football, also the football betting guide for the NFL is a part of that deal right now. You get it absolutely free when you join us for the full-time stuff. We'll be right back.